we've looked at a number of issues in the broad area of strategy implementation. Let's bring these various issues together and let's look at some of the typical problems in strategy implementation. These are common problems which are faced by a large number of organizations. 1. Managers fail to give a sense of direction. Strategy is about implementing a particular course of action for a particular purpose. This is known to people who formulate that strategy. Now, as we have seen, strategy formulation is always by a small group of people. Yes, over the years, the inputs to strategy formulation has increased, has diversified, and today inputs come from across the organization, particularly from people in the front line. However, the actual formulation is by a small group of people. Now, the purpose of a particular strategy should not be confined to that group of people. So what is typically done is that strategy formulation team ensures that the managers of different departments across the company are made aware of the broad sense of direction, the broad purpose of the strategy. Okay? However, some of these managers of departments fail to transmit this information further down the line within their departments. Therefore, for instance, if a company has chosen a strategy of market penetration means sticking to the current market with the current range of products, right? That's the strategy. Now, the marketing department head knows this is a strategy, and he has passed that on to various people within his department. However, the publicity department head, the public relations department head, does not know that this is the strategy. Okay? He does not know. The public relations head has not passed on within his department. There may be 3 or 4 people within the department. He may have not passed on this information to those people. So when they interact with the public, they are not able to give adequate reasons for why the company is not expanding its market presence. So the company is not doing that for strategic reasons. However, because they do not know this is company strategy, therefore they are not able to adequately respond to the public. So here is a case where managers fail to give a sense of direction. Then a very common problem in strategy implementation is that coordination is not adequate. As we saw in earlier this session, for instance, as well as in some of the earlier sessions, the organization has a particular structure, and various departments within the organization must work together in implementing strategy. However, the coordination between departments is a very weak area in many organizations. Each department is very strong in its own area, but coordination between departments is weak. Therefore, the strength of each department does not build up to strength of the company. It's a case of 1 plus 1 plus 1 being not more than 3, but being less than 3. Okay, right. Now we come to the issue of forecasting. You will recall in the session on network analysis, we had said we need to forecast what is the time period which different activities would take, right? And we need to forecast also the kind of resources that the activity would require. However, it's very common that in practice an activity takes longer than expected. If one activity takes longer than expected, then many connected activities which can start only after this activity is over are also affected. Hence, the entire chain of activities is affected. Now, what a department should do, if it anticipates that a particular activity is going to take longer than originally estimated, what the department should do is to inform related connected departments that this is the case, so that they them can in turn make adjustments. However, this is rarely done, and therefore the fact that activities take longer than expected, which is not surprising, this unfortunately derails the entire process. Now, the information system. We've in one of the earlier sessions looked at how important the information system is in an organization, right? The information system provides data which is required by various kinds of people within the organization in the form in which they can best assimilate it, right? This is the purpose of the information system. But very often, again for historical reasons, because most companies started off in an age when the amount of information available was much less than today. Therefore, information systems were much simpler in those days, and historically those simple structures have continued, whereas given the depth of information available today, given the wide variety of sources of information available today, the system really needs to be much more complex. But this has not been done. Therefore, information system inadequacy is one major problem in strategy implementation. Well, unexpected problems always arise, right? And we must be prepared for the unexpected. But the fact of the matter is that when an unexpected problem arises, it very often tends to throw the entire implementation schedule off gear. Okay? The last point is really one of the most important points in implementation. It's one of the most important points in why implementation problems arise, and this is that tasks are not properly defined. See, if the task was properly defined, then the estimation of time would have been done much better. Then the problem of activities taking longer would not have come. If the task had been properly defined, then the various people involved in that task, the various departments involved in that task would have been defined in a better manner, and coordination problems would not have arisen. So there are several problems that arise when the task is not properly defined. So let's take a look at what this video we've been referring to, what they feel is the issue, are the main issues in strategy implementation. What are the main problems that they think, which they face in strategy implementation?
Let's flip the analysis around for a second and focus on the reasons why strategy implementation fails. And this is based on the research findings of a survey of Fortune 500 companies. Surely they would have the resources at their disposal in order to get this right. But that's not always the case. And so we can probably learn from their mistakes to summarize how we should be thinking about strategy implementation. For instance, some of the implementations pertain to the programming taking much longer than originally planned. There was unanticipated major problems that arose. There was activities that were ineffectively coordinated. There was competing priorities that took away from the strategy implementation initiative. The strategy implementation involved employees that didn't have the capabilities to do what was asked of them. The lower level employees were inadequately trained. There was uncontrollable external environmental factors that created problems that the strategy was unable to adapt to. Departmental managers providing inadequate leadership and direction. Key implementation tasks and activities that were poorly defined. And then finally, information systems that were inadequate to monitor the activities of the strategy implementation.
In this session, we've looked at the whole process of strategy implementation, which is a critical part of the strategy process. We've understood what are the specific factors that we need to address in order to ensure that strategy implementation is quick, strategy implementation is productive, and strategy implementation takes place as planned. Thank you.